Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. We are on to part two of the XR200 engine teardown to replace the countershaft, which we already did in the first video if you watched. This one's the bad one. You can see the splines are all stripped out, but it required taking apart the transmission to get that in there, which we did in the first part. If you watched, we got it back into its spot here, and we're just waiting for some gaskets to come in the mail. But while we wait for that, I'm going to get some measurements on the piston rings. I cleaned this up a little bit, and it came out pretty decent looking. So hopefully that's still in spec. The rings will probably have to replace, but we'll get measurements on that. We'll get measurements on the pin. Going to replace the cam chain and the tensioners. This one doesn't look too bad. This one had some oddball wear on it, though. You can kind of see it flaking off. I don't know if it's going to focus from here, but let me get a little zoomed in. Yeah, you can see that's kind of chipped off. Looks like maybe heat taking its toll on that. That's going to get replaced. Going to get a measurement on the cylinder. See if we're still in spec there. Hopefully we are. We got the kit that I got also has valve seals for the stems. I'm going to get those replaced and probably lap these. Make sure we got a good seal there. So that's pretty much it. Once we get all that stuff measured out and see what I got to order, then we can start putting this back together and throwing it back in the bike hopefully here pretty soon. So let's get this stuff over to the bench and let's get started. Okay, I'm going to start with the cylinder here. I'm going to get the measurements of the inner diameter of the cylinder bore. I'm going to take measurements on the X and Y axis here. And I'm going to get 3 different levels. So up towards the top, in the middle, and then down towards the bottom. And then I'll get 3 on each of those, and I'll just average them up and see where we're at. So I'm going to use this to measure each spot and then put it into my calipers here. Okay, I'll turn that off for now. So I'll start by getting the x-axis first. Make sure we're zeroed out again. Okay, 65.55. Get one more on the x-axis there. Look at that. 65.50, that's right on. Okay, so it's looking like so far we can just get away with a hone, but I'm going to measure the rest of them out just to make sure. .46. Oops. Okay, 65.52. Okay. So according to the book, service limit there, we are well within service limit. So we're just at 65.5, right around 0.50, slightly above in some cases and slightly below. So that tells me we are right in spec so far. All right, so I'm just going to bring you back in here. I'm going to get the measurements, 2 more on the Y up top, and then go down halfway, do X and Y. Down towards the bottom, do X and Y, average those up, and I'll bring you back in here when I'm done so I don't bore you. Okay, here's my findings here on the measurements. They're all within spec, so I'm not even going to average these out because, as you can see, they're all really close. 65.52, 50, 50, 52, 53, 51. All of these were within spec according to the book. So we're good with the cylinder. We're just going to hone that out. Set that off to the side for now and get a measurement on the pin here next. All right, according to the book, the piston pin outer diameter is 14.994 millimeters with a wear limit at 14.96. So let's see where we're at with ours. Get that zeroed out. We're right at 14.96. That is the wear limit, so we are going to replace this. Next up, I'm going to get these rings off of here. And we're going to check the end gap. I'm going to put that in the cylinder. If I can get these off without breaking anything. Okay, this is the top ring. Let's see if we got markings on here. Little marking there, so. Also, let's see, is this keystoned? Can't tell. Look here closer. Sometimes they have a little ledge on it that you can tell which face is up. But this one doesn't, I don't think, and I can see the writing, so always the writing usually faces up, so just gotta remember that. That's the top ring. Here's the second ring. Okay. Okay, this one I can also see writing facing up right there. It doesn't look like these are keystoned either, so yep, writing facing up, second ring down. And then the oil ring. Get this off of here too. Can't see any writing on this. Okay, we're gonna leave that there. All right, that's sandwiched in between two of those. Okay, we're gonna start with the top ring here first. Oil in there. Yeah, just slide this in here. All right, the book's saying that I should have for the top ring end gap 0.20 to 0.40 millimeters. So we got my feeler gauge here, 0.20 millimeters. Let's see where we're at. Okay, I could fit that in there. Fits in there kind of easy, but I'm going to go up one just to see. I just want to make sure we're not past the wear limit. The wear limit is 0.5 millimeters, so let's check that. I'm just going to go all the way up to 0.5. We're going to see if I can even fit that in there. Okay, here's a 0.51. I don't have a 0.50. Yeah, definitely can't fit that in there. Let's try, I'm going to try a 0.30. See what that feels like. Okay, here's a 0.30 exactly. I can barely fit that in there. It's pretty tight. So I think we're in spec there still with the top ring. Yeah. And for the heck of it, let's just try 0.40. See what it does. That's the upper end of it. Yeah, I can get a 0.38 in there too. So it's towards the upper end of the service limit. So I'll probably end up replacing these. That's the top one. We'll just do the second one here just to see where that's at. Second ring end gap should be the same, 0.20 to 0.40. Let's start out with the 0.20 again on the lower side. I can already tell by eyeballing it that that gap is bigger. 0.20 flops around in there a little bit. Let's go up to 0.5. Wear limit and see what it does. Okay, I can't get a 0.5 in there. Almost. Let's try 0.40, 41. Yeah, I can get a 0.41 in there. So it's right at the edge of its wear limit. So I'm just going to replace these. So I don't have to do this again down the road here soon. So I'm not even going to bother measuring the oil rings just because they're going to get replaced as well. Measuring the piston outer diameter. We are right at, let's see here. Whoops. 65.47. And the book is saying 65.465 to 65.485 with a wear limit of 65.40. So we're good there with the piston as well. I'll get some more measurements around here just to confirm that, but piston I could tell just by eyeballing that too. Looks to be in really good shape. There's no scoring on it, no gouges, nothing like that. It looks fairly new. That's why I'm thinking they might have done a top end in this fairly recently. The previous owner, that is. Yeah, we're good with the piston as well. All right, moving over to the head here, I'm going to get these valves out, and we're going to clean up the mating surface here. We're going to lap the valves. I'm going to replace the valve stem seals since it came in the kit that I got. Not necessarily that these were bad, but I figured while we're this far into it, I might as well just replace it. So I got my tool here ready to go. I'm going to do the exhaust side first, I think. And I just got to get this lined up. Start cranking down on this valve. Okay, here come the keepers. There's one. There's the other. Got an outer spring. Take note of the coils. Closer together coils go to the bottom. And we got an inner spring. Same deal. And the valve should just push out of here like that. There's the stem seal. Also got two washers in here, one inner one and an outer one for both springs. See if I could fish these out. and the outer washer. Might as well pull that stem off of there, stem seal. It feels kind of brittle. Probably good we're getting those replaced. So I'm going to keep all of the exhaust valve stuff together, and then all of the intake stuff together, so I don't get anything mixed up. I'm going to spin this in a drill just to make sure that it's straight. No indications that it would have been bent for any reason, but it doesn't hurt to try. Okay, that one looks good. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with the intake side. It's all lined up here. Okay, let's see if I can grab those keepers. There's one. All right, there's two. Spacer washer up top. Get those out of the way so I don't lose them. So that one there looks like they might have had the coils up top on the intake. I'll have to check and see if that's the way that's supposed to be. I thought on both sides it had to be that they were both on the down end. So I wonder if somebody had that apart too at one point. Let's check what the smaller one looks like. Yeah, the smaller one's got the coils at the bottom. So the intake side had it reversed. It had it up like this instead of like this. I don't think that's right. I think they both have to be facing down, and I'm going to confirm that in the book. Aha. Yeah, this one must have been off before, because this one's got in a black stem seal on there. So I didn't do this one. Somebody must have been in here to replace that, and when they put that spring back in there, it was in there backwards. I'll just confirm that, but yeah, we're going to replace that anyways, since we got new ones. Yeah, that was definitely newer than the one on the exhaust side. Okay, we got both washers. All right, I'm going to do a little lapping here on the intake side first. Got my grinding compound. Get this out of the way. I'll throw a little bit of that on here. I did this one other time on 2002 XR200. I bought that bike, if you remember that video, if you watched. That one had a valve that was bent, so I had the whole top end apart, and you know, had to get a new valve, obviously. And then that was the first time I actually lapped valves before, and that thing ran really good. So I'm gonna try to duplicate that process on here. Slip that into place. Got my suction cup tool. Back and forth until that grittiness goes away. And we're looking for even wear on the surface of the valve here. Make sure we don't have any low or high spots. Go a little bit more. can see a nice shiny ring around there. All the way around it's even. So that looks good. Just clean this off real quick. The head's going to get a thorough cleaning after lapping, because you don't want this material in the engine, of course. It's real gritty, kind of like sand. So make sure you get all that out before you put her back together and run the engine. There, we got a pretty even tone all the way around there too. All right, I'm going to do the same with the exhaust side too. I just want to keep this stuff separate for now. Okay, here's the exhaust side. Nice even ring. And a nice even ring on here too. All right, so now I'm going to clean up the head. And might throw a little bit of paint on here too while it's apart. I might actually dunk this in the ultrasonic. I did that with the other XR200 head that I had apart a couple years ago, and that came out really clean. I was able to paint that too, so I'm going to try it on this as well. I'm going to measure the valve spring free length here next. The book is saying the outer spring should have a length of 45.5 millimeters with a wear limit of 41 millimeters. So I'm going to see where this one's at. This one's on the intake. Okay, so we got, looks like 44.6. So that is still within spec. Let's do the inner spring. The inner one should be 39.4 millimeters with a wear limit of 35.5. And we're getting 38.7 here. So we're good there too. All right, let me pull the exhaust valve springs out. We'll measure those next. We'll do the outer one first. Okay, we got 44.5 for the outer. Still within spec. And the inner. We got a measurement of 38.6. So we're good there too. Okay, I'm going to hone the cylinder next. Let's get some oil on here, and got my ball hone ready to go. Same one I used on the 2002 XR200 that I did. Like I said, that thing ran really good after I was done with putting that new valve in and honing it. It ran like a top, so I'm hoping I can do the same with this one. Get some on here too. Make some passes clockwise this way for about 30 seconds to 45 seconds, and then I'm going to flip it around, go counterclockwise. Try to go as even as possible. Make sure you go all the way in and all the way out. All right, I'm going to flip it counterclockwise. All right, let's see what that looks like. looking pretty good here, I can see. You can get a light on that so you can see the cross hatching. Yeah, we're good. No need to go any further than that. Alright, gonna get this cleaned up, get all that grit out of there. Don't want any of that left over. Probably throw it in the ultrasonic and get her cleaned up and nice looking, and maybe throw some paint on there too. Here's a shot of the cylinder all cleaned up and painted. Put that in the ultrasonic and knocked off all the heavy dirt, and then I scuffed it up and shot a little bit of semi gloss black on there, I think it was. It's like an engine paint. Here's the head. Still got to put everything back together in there. And the valve covers too. Got that painted up and cleaned up too. Before we get to that though, moving back over to the bottom end. Gasket set arrived, and I'm going to start putting this back together. We made sure everything turns and is free. You can move this barrel, and it moves the shifter forks. No problem. I'm going to put a little dab of grease around this right here for the Kickstarter assembly, because there's a little washer that sits in there, or sits on there, I should say. And it'll probably be kind of hard to keep that in place whenever it's on the other side of the case, because I have to flip that over to put that on. So hopefully we can leave that in place there and slip it on without any issue. And I got my gasket here too, which is going to fit on there like that. All right, so let me grab the other side, and hopefully this slips on without too much drama. Sure the Kickstarter. Okay. Looks good. Make sure we got it all the way around evenly. And start putting the bolts back in. Starting with this one here. The only one on this side. Okay, we got those tightened down in crisscross fashion. I just did it by hand. I didn't torque anything down too hard yet. Just gonna flip this over. We're gonna see, make sure the gears all turn okay still. Then we're gonna hook up the shifter fork and the cam here so we can test the shifting through the gears. So make sure all that's good before we go any further. And all this stuff moves freely. So I think we're in good shape. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is put that little dowel pin. It goes right in here first. Throw the star on. Then the stopper arm and spring's gonna go in there next. Okay, shifter shaft next. Gonna put a little bit of assembly lube on there. So Hopefully that slides into place easier. Got the washer on there, can't forget that. Okay, we're in first gear. I can move the main shaft and it's turning the counter shaft. Let's go to neutral. Okay, I can move the main shaft and the counter shaft is free. All right, let's go to second gear. Okay. Third gear. Fourth gear. Fifth gear. Whoops, we're in between there. Yeah, it's fifth. And then sixth. Let's go back down to the first. Okay, that's first gear. And then neutral. Okay, I think we're good to go. I'm going to flip it over, start buttoning up the clutch side. And I'm going to start with the oil pump here. Get that lined up. Just going to give these a little tap with the impact screwdriver. Put the drive gear on here next. Followed up by the clutch basket. Followed up by the washer that's marked outside. That's going to go on here next with the special nut. Just going to run these down very slowly and then finish it off by hand. You don't want to crank these down too hard. Okay, those are good to go. Put this bearing back in here. Centrifugal oil filter up next. And once again, we got the washer with outside written on it. It's going to go in there first. Okay, when I'm throwing on the Kickstarter, the decompression arm that sits on here, there's a little dot imprinted on the shaft itself, and there's a dot right here. Just got to make sure that's lined up. Get a close up here so you can see what I'm talking about. So the dot on this cam here, you want to make sure it lines up with that dot on the shaft. And finally, the side cover will go on. Okay, just want to make sure the arm is moving for the decompression system, which it is. We are good to go. Start throwing the bolts back in here. All right, guys, I figured this is probably a good stopping point. After getting the bottom end all buttoned up, we are ready for the top end, which you can see I have spread out on the bench here. Various parts just started arriving in the mail. I got the OEM Honda rings, tensioners, cam chain, the head gasket. I still got to put the valves in, and we got those right here. And the rest of the gasket set that's left to assemble this thing. So make sure you hit the subscribe button if you're not a subscriber, so you'll get alerted. Also the bell notification so that you will get alerted when that video comes out. Look for that in the next week. Hopefully by that point it's done. I'll have it on the bike and running and making sure that it shifts okay and all that good stuff. So we will see you guys in the next video.